Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, Happy Secular New Year. And we will begin our service this evening with the singing of Hine Matov. And there are parts of this where I'd like to hear you singing back to me, and I'll cue you a little bit, but you've been hearing this song a while, so you should be able to help me out with this. Hine Matov, how good it is for people to dwell together in unity. Hine Matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Sing with me. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We turn to our prayer book, the top of page 124, as we read together. We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured. A beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within the human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. And often when we talk about the Jewish life cycle, we speak to birth, we speak to death, we speak to Brit Milah, we speak to baby namings under chuppah. But also, just as important is the next step in life. What do we do after we have accomplished so many years of service? And tonight, it's my great pleasure to welcome Janet Ahrens to the Bima. She is celebrating her retirement from the Jewish Foundation. And please forgive me, how many years? 26 years, ensuring the growth of Jewish Birmingham to have its vital programs. Mazel tov. 120.
shall Shabbat. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
For those who are able, we rise together for our Kiddush 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הום יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים קיוונו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen.
You deserve it. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
The top of page 127, we continue together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if we're a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act and care nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. 130 with Psalm 95.
Lechu neranana l'Adonai nariya le'tzoyishenu lechu neranana l'Adonai nariya le'tzoyishenu nekadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher yado mechkerei haaretz וטועפות הרים לו אשר לא הים והוא עשהו ביבשת ידיו יצרו כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו אמר איתו וצאן
the pinnacle of Shabbat, Lechado D 138.
Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela with me. Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur hishmi'anu El hamyuchad Adonai echad U'shemo echad Shemol tiferet v'litila Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechovel nechakimecho haberacha merosh mikedem nesur hasof maaseh b'machshavat hila Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Hitoreri kiva orech Kumi uri Shidaberi kvod Adonai alayich nigla Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela.
We rise together to greet Shabbat Hamalka.
Moi v'shalom atere balagam yisimcha uvetzola toch emune ham segula Boi hala, lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela.
The bottom of page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We say right there, 144, with our Chetzi Kaddish.
Yitkadash meraba, amen. Be'alama divrach hiroteh, ve'yamalish malchoteh. B'chayechon u'b'yemechon u'b'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala u'bizman kariv ve'immeru amen. Yehishmer Abba mevarach le'al al-molmal me'al-maya yitbarach יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen.
We rise together, 146.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
The top of page 149 together. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. On the next page.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha Torah u'mitzvot kukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochvenu v'chumenu nasiach v'chukecha v'nishmar b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam, leolam vaed.
We continue with our Ve'ahavta 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובחומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Top of page 157, we read together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Our song of freedom and redemption, Michamocha 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראובנך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יא לה 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 La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
The top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Our Hashkivenu right there, 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu לחיים, לחיים, לחיים.
The top of page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vishamru, the top of page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
The middle of page 165, we read together. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah, 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We turn to page 173 and we read together at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh HaShabbat. We continue with our Ritzei 174.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel U'tehi l'ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha Karol lechol keroa pnei elavadecha v'chanenu shofoch ruchacha alenu v'techezena einenu beshuvecha leTzion berachamim Baruch atah Adonai Ma'azi shechinato
The top of page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace. and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make a temperate reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. 178.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol shalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol shalom. V'tov b'necha levarech et emcha Yisrael b'chol et uv'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai hamarech et amo Yisrael hashalom.
We take a few moments for silent prayer.
Yul ratzon imefi, Yul ratzon imefi, Vegion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, ve'imeru.
At this moment in our service, we think of those in our community, those especially who are in need of healing of body or spirit. We think of Barbara Edelman, Linda Applebaum, Sophia Berry, Katie Bates, Donna Berman, Chaim Bertrand, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Eliyahu Mizrahi Ben Chava, Ivy Chin, Orit Cohen, Martha Ann Eisenberg, Brenda Friedman, Marilyn Garber, Edward Goldberg, Howard Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldman, Sandra Goldman, Miriam Goldstein, Josie Hatfield, Ben Hazen, Evelyn Held, Donald Himmel, Corey Kessler, Sharon Lahan, Zane Monlick, Mark Petrosky, Matthew Phillips, Michael Pazitz, Malka Bat Rachel, Cindy Routman, Jim Sag, Susan Schumann, David Siegel, Leslie Simon, Pam Huff Simpson, Laurel Smith, Chrissy St. Charles and Dawn St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, Jesse Weisberg, and Lisa Whitehead. For those who are here with us tonight and you're thinking of a loved one, a friend, someone who means so much to you, and you wish to share a name out loud, we invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, Misha Berach, middle of page 371.
May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Motenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
For the most part, we as Jews, we really don't subscribe to the idea that God works in mysterious ways. For the most part, it's theologically problematic, and I think the human condition proves this. I think the other way to understand this, when Elijah the prophet was fleeing from Jezebel, when we learn from the Tanakh, we learn from the prophets that he was hiding in a mountain. And he heard the various sounds of nature, but finally what remained was that still small voice. And maybe that still small voice is God's whisper to us if we listen hard enough. So theologically, I like the idea that God can speak to us if we listen hard enough. Or sometimes when the Torah is giving you that empathic comfort that we desperately need during our times of difficulty. So if we look at the Torah hard enough, if we focus on its words and its meaning, maybe this is the comfort that we need. There are a few of us here tonight that are in mourning. When we say Shabbat Shalom and when we leave, you can identify them by the Kriya ribbon that is right above their heart. And for those that don't know the Kriya ritual, we learn two stories. One in the book of Genesis, when Jacob thought that Joseph had died, he tore his garments. And in the book of Samuel, before he becomes King David, when his father-in-law Saul dies, he too tore his garments. And this tear is symbolic. It's a void in our hearts that can never be filled. So for those here who are in mourning, I know who you are, and some members of this congregation know who you are too. Maybe we can believe in B'Sher, things are meant to be, but it's almost perfect that this Torah portion, Vayechi, is speaking directly to you to help you, to embrace you, to love you, that even in the pain of losing a loved one, God is catching your tears. It's Friday night and we don't read Torah, so I brought out my tikkun. It's what we use to learn how to cantillation, learn how to chant from the Torah. It's called a tikkun. It's a cantorial student's or rabbinic student's best friend that helps us guide us. Okay, this is what we use before we open the Torah. But for the most part, every time there's a new Torah portion, again, on this side, this is what the Torah would look like. There's a good break in the scroll. We can easily identify where the new parasha, where that is located. There's one major problem with Vayechi. Vayechi doesn't have a clean break. And for those who have to roll the Torah to find the parasha, it can be incredibly difficult. So Vayechi is located in the middle of the parasha, in the middle of the page. Starts right here. So again, we don't have a clean break. It's not a new paragraph, but it's right in the middle. So this puzzled our rabbis. So Rashi, I think, gives us our first good answer. He believes the reason why there isn't a clean break because it's setuma, it's closed. And he wants to talk about that this is the feeling that Jacob's children had right before Jacob died. Their heart was closing because they were losing their father. In Vayechi, as the last parsha in the book of Genesis, we begin with sadness. It's actually going to begin with the sadness of Jewish people because we know what happens next in Shemis, the book of Exodus. But this closed mark in the Torah, it talks about the suffering and despair that Jacob's sons had when their father is about to pass away. And for those who are here tonight, remembering a loved one, whether a yortzeit, a recent passing, we know that the past weeks of such uncertainty was no doubt a horrible time of your suffering. And if the Torah could empathize with the Jewish people, this is where we understand that even our patriarchs feel sadness, understand the human condition, and it's our job as Jews is to comfort the mourner. Rashi would go on later to talk about that this would also begin the spiritual exile of the Jewish people. until they returned back to Eretz Israel 400 years later. But here is the take-home, if there's any comfort that I can bring to the mourners here tonight. A midrash says that Vayechi, the closure of this, is not so much a separation, but it's a new beginning. And here's the flip, or the pivot, as I like to say. When God wrote the Torah through Moses, this was the separation, the closure, that Joseph and his children, the ones who pass away, now give the torch to Moses, the legacy that will endure. Because in Parashat Shemot, we begin the story of Moses. That is the separation. Losing a loved one, time does not heal in such a thing. A former mentor of mine taught me that it's like an ocean swell, a wave. Some days the waves are slow, they're little, and sometimes they're so big and it knocks you down. That's what happens when we lose a loved one. But the promise is through Moses, and so for the promise is through you, the legacy. It's to keep the stories alive, their memories alive, through you, through your children, through other family members. There's a reason why we don't have the perfect written word to comfort the mourner. That's why we are instructed not to say anything to the mourner until the mourner speaks directly to us. And though it's Shabbos and our mourners are exempt from mourning for this day, we as a Temple Emanu-El community feel your suffering. And on the other hand, we are here for you to ensure that your legacy endures forever. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We turn to page 586. We rise together for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגודלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Rose Altmark, Esther Apolinsky, Emmanuel Applebaum, Carl W. Aaron, Libby Bank, Levi Becker, Brett Berman, Mervyn A. Black, Leon Block, Mary K. Broadnax, Alice Hewell Brooks, Elaine Bunsey, Morris Berger, Maxine G. Kaheen, Morris Abraham Kaplan, Dave Cohen, Edward Cohen, Alfred Cohn, Dorothy Dot Louise Henderson, Cook Grove. Gertrude Davis, Melvin E. Dorn Sr., James E. Dowdy, Rose Klotzman Fabian, Margaret Jacobson Fabricant, Sheldon Feynman, Edith Fisher, Ethel Fitlow, Nathan Fitlow, Raymond Fox, Norma Lee Hobby Freeling, Janice Munsky Friedman, Herman Fairchild First, Fanny C. First, Ida G. Goldberg, Esther K. Goldstein, Corrine G. Goldstein, Barbara Goldstone, Nettie Goodman, Evelyn Gottlieb, A. William Handler, Jeanette H. Hirsch, Bella Imus, Abe Kaplan, Lillian Bloom Karpiles, Irma Koch, Maurice Kraselski, Marie L. Krawcheck, Pincus Cronenberg, Paul Lassikow, Francis Levin, Stella Solomon Levine, Alex B. Levy, Rose Kaufman Louie, Abraham Lipson, Elsie Marks, Anna Menschel, Emmanuel Miller, Emma Newfield Minisman, Morris M. Otis, Evelyn Myers Pose, J.D. Rosenberger Jr., Sam Routman, Annie Rudachevsky, Joseph Soloway, Jack Saul, Francis Schimmel, Bertha Schoen, Bertha Shane, Ella Simkin, Louise Sokol, Judge Louis Spector, Bert Stern, Amelia W. Stern, Alfred Swedlaw, Edna J. Wald, Audrey Irma Wheel, Hyman Weinberg, Manuel Wildstein, and Rose Wise. Our heartfelt condolences in the recent passings of Robert Norman Bloomston, father of Brett Bloomston, Linda Lassen Cohn, aunt of Brett Bloomston, Anita Fine, sister of Gary Cutter, Larry Hameson, brother of Carol Pizitz, Neil Morris, husband and brother of Alan Morris, Howard Simon, father of David Simon, grandfather of Ross and Evan Simon, Liz Slive, mother of Anna Hardwood Slive, grandmother of Abigail Slive Hardwood, and Gloria Lee Solomon, mother of Robert Solomon. May all of their memories forever be a blessing. Temple Emanu-El rises in strength and solidarity for our mourners Kaddish 598. Yikadal Bikadah Shemei Rabbah Bioma Divrach Reote Vamlich Malchute B'chayachon Uv Yomechon Uv Chayet V'kol Beit Yisrael Bagalah Wizman Kariv Yimru
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Li'olam Alamei Omayah Yit Barach V'Hit Shabbat Hit Ba'ar Hit Romam Hit Naseh Vita Dar Vita Le Vita Lal Shmei Dekucha
Brichu.
La'ela Min Kol Birchata B'Shirata Tush B'chata B'Nechamata Damin Ram B'Yalma B'Yimru
Amen.
Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. O say Shalom B'Mromav Huya say Shalom Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen.
Ose shalom b'mromav, huyase shalom. Aleinu v'chol Yisrael, ve'imeru Amen.
We conclude with Adon Olam 625.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל דבר יוכנו והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה ולי ראשית ולי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחגואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ויום אקרא בירוב קידוחי בעת אישן ואילה ואם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah.